Newcastle 1, Arsenal 2. Crook and I were there. It was a brilliant game. It had absolutely everything, didn't it? Cracking atmosphere, questionable refereeing calls, and a couple of really late goals. Crook was telling me how he tipped up the draw and he was the best predictor of football matches in the land. And then Gabriel stole in with another set piece. Now, listen, Charlie, let's talk about this from the start, right? Because you were a big part of Everton's success from set pieces last season. Arne Slot said after the game on Saturday, Crystal Palace against Liverpool, and having watched Brentford and Manchester United, that this league is becoming the set piece league. I mean, this was a set piece game. Is he right, though? Is it becoming a set piece league?
No, I don't think it's coming a set piece league. I think what you are seeing is there's a lot of teams doing a lot of good work with their teams and with the groups, and ultimately they're bringing in their own specialist people to organise that and keep that, because there's so much going on in terms of it's not just managing the team as a manager. You need extra coaches to help you in terms of set play. You look at in possession, out of possession. Then you've got the players to look after. You've got probably a bunch of staff. It depends on what club you're at. Could have 20 staff. You might have 30 staff. So a lot of people have getting that designated jobs. But Arsenal have been so successful over the last few years with set plays, and Mikel has basically probably turned the set plays back into his favour in terms of Arsene Wenger used to moan about Tony Pulis about the set plays, but Arsenal's used that to their advantage for a long, long time now. In the last with Mikel bringing in his own person, and it's been very successful for them. And that's part of the game. It's as a team defending it is very hard because they have so many good players in terms of delivery, but also as well the ones that they have attacking it. It's hard when you don't have as many to block or to get up against them because they're so strong. And one thing about Gabriel is that when he wants to go and win it, he's got a hell of a leap. And you've seen that with the quality of the goal that he scored yesterday.
Yes, certainly. Did Nicolas Jover earn his mural last night? Because he was the first one to celebrate when Gabriel's goal went in right at the very end. They were the better side, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. I mean, actually, sometimes it's easy to get swept up in emotion. We were there, as you say, it was a brilliant occasion for the neutral. It was just great fun, a good old-fashioned ding-dong. The crowd were up. And when Arsenal scored so late, I think Mickey Gray said on air, well, they don't deserve to win this game. I think when you watch it back, and we did last night, they were the team who created all the chances. Apart from the Voltemada goal, Newcastle didn't really lay a glove on Arsenal defensively. I still think it's a massive issue for Eddie Howe. How do you replace the goals from Alexander Isak from last season? Voltemada was running on empty in the second half before he was taken off. Obviously, still no Johan Wissa to call upon. But Arsenal had so many opportunities. It would have been, I think, an injustice had they not have won the game.
You wouldn't expect them to create too many chances against Arsenal, though, would you?
No, but they haven't created too many chances over the course of the season so far. That is the concern. I think the last 3 away games have ended in goalless draws. And actually, speaking to the great Mickey Quinn before the game, he was saying that Voltemada is a lot of things, but he doesn't see him necessarily as someone who's going to score 20 goals a season.
Well, of course, they have no Johan Wissa at the moment, Charlie, have they? But do you think they create enough chances?
No, at the moment, I don't think they are. And I watched Voldemar in the summer for Germany under 21s, and he stands out because of his height and his size. But technically, he's a very good player. And I look at him and I think this could be a Peter Crouch sort of situation here. But I don't think he's a number 9. I think he's more of like a number 10, sort of could play off somebody. But again, for them to have Visa, Isak is obviously losing him is key, is massive. And to replace that, we've seen it with a number of clubs over the years that when you lose somebody like that, it's very difficult to replace. So they have to try and get some sort of goal scoring form. The big man scored a great goal yesterday. I thought it was a wonderful header, but Newcastle are going to find it tough this year with losing Isak and without Vista as well at the moment.
He looks great as well, doesn't he? I just love the tash and the hair. I just like the whole look. It works for me. Does the mental strength and the character that Arsenal showed, Crook, to get themselves not only back into the game but to win the game yesterday, sort of underscore that actually they could be champions this year? They could push Liverpool all the way.
Yeah, particularly as Liverpool are not firing on all cylinders. And I think at the moment, Arne Slot is still trying to find the right blend in terms of his new signings. We'll come on to that. But I think what you can't question Arsenal these days is that they have leaders, all over the pitch. Gabriel has come up with a goal. Marino with the equaliser, coming off the bench to score against his old team, is a massive personality. Declan Rice was a driving force. Bukayo Saka is a leader in his own way. David Raya as well. They've got people like Calafiori who are not afraid to do the ugly stuff, and maybe was a bit fortunate to escape a second yellow card before being subbed off, actually. But they certainly have the character to turn games around, and it's no coincidence, is it? 2 weeks in a row that they've stolen a point against Manchester City. They've stolen all 3 points against Newcastle. I'm sure that Mikel Arteta would rather they be winning games more comfortably, but those are 2 difficult games to come through, and actually to come from behind and take 4 points could be absolutely massive come the end of the season.
Alex and Sam, do you think, like, obviously Mikel's, I see a lot of people saying that they want to change, and sometimes at Arsenal, and they're not happy with this and that, but these players have been there for a couple of years now, so to say, oh, their mentality monster, where does that all of a sudden come from? I think it's been there. It just, Liverpool was so good last year for a long period of time. They dropped so many points that they didn't want to, but I think that this Arsenal team they've been going in the right direction. You need a lot of luck, and you need players to perform for a long part of the season at consistent basis. But again, when you lose your Gabriels and you lose Saka for a big period of last year, it's going to affect you, isn't it? And again, at the moment, they've got everybody fit. They've got a strong squad. They've got that number 9 they've been craving for a few years now. Hopefully, the Gyökeres could score a few goals for them. But if you ask Mikel to go to Newcastle and get 3 points, it's as tough a way ground as it'll be, and that atmosphere is incredible. Eddie does a brilliant job, and Mikel will be delighted to get out there with the 3 points. So I think this Arsenal team are going the right direction, and it takes time, but we're early into the season, and going to a place like that and getting a win late on will give them a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. And although Crook was trying to convince me over the weekend that Manchester United had the hardest start to the season in terms of fixtures, the fact that Arsenal played Manchester United, Liverpool, City and Newcastle United already this season, I think bodes well for them going forward. And actually, you mentioned there that they didn't get much luck last season. And one celebrity Arsenal fan texted me yesterday during the middle of the game when they were struggling a little bit, and after the Gyökeres incident, that maybe they didn't get much luck in that game either. It felt as if the luck was going against them, because Gyökeres did look as if he deserved a penalty in that first half when he snaffled up a poor back pass from Murphy, went to round the goalkeeper and went down. The referee called penalty, the VAR overturned it. It's quite a controversial decision, which certainly divided opinion, especially amongst the Arsenal Twitterati. Men in Black is a podcast that we do here on talkSPORT with former Premier League referee Chris Foy, and he has his say in all the big major incidents. And I must admit, when I sat down to do the podcast with him this morning, I thought that he was going to justify exactly why this penalty was overturned. However, he went completely the other way. This is what he said. For years, we've been told, I got the ball is no longer a defence in law. Why is it here?
The bits that can be confusing sometimes is when you get a touch on the ball. That doesn't negate the fact that there's a foul. But with the one at Newcastle yesterday, there was a slight toe on the ball from Nick Pope. We don't want to be forensically examining these decisions, and there is a slight touch on the ball, but that doesn't negate the fact that Pope has come out a little bit recklessly and collided with Gyökeres. I mean, I think it's a penalty, and I think it should have been check complete, and the decision should have stood. That there was the original decision on field made by the referee.
So Chris says that actually we overanalyzed this decision. It was too forensic, and actually he thinks that his on-field call, if he was refereeing, would have been a penalty, and that should have stood. Was that your initial view, Charlie Adam?
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty in real time as well, and I'm surprised that the VAR's gone against the referee, which is not regular. And at the time, I thought it was a Stonewall penalty for Arsenal, and Gyökeres was unlucky not to get it.
Yeah, it's almost like the VAR there tried to re-referee the game, which is not what we want and not what VAR is for. We also had a bit of a discussion about the Gabriel handball. I'm convinced that should have been a penalty for Newcastle late in the game when Gabriel had his hands up. And Chris actually gives us his reasons as to why that isn't the case. The Premier League All Access feed is the place to find the Men in Black podcast if you want to go back and listen to it, because there's quite a few incidents to get into this weekend. Handball for you, Crookie?
Yeah, I think for the reasons that you said when we were at the game, that because his arm is up above his head, at first I thought it was too close proximity. Obviously, the actual argument that PGMOL have given that it wasn't awarded is because it flicked off his shin first. But I think when you put your arm above your head, you make your body bigger, you are running a massive risk.
And we had another big discussion about how it's very different in England to the way that handball is assessed elsewhere. Charlie, you'll know, watching loads of European games and international games, that there is a much more prescriptive administration of the handball law on the continent. And there's no way in this earth that Gabriel gets away with that in a Champions League game.
No, absolutely not. And that's again, it's the players are getting different vibes or different feelings from the referees coming into the training ground to speak to them at the start of the season, and then at the moment I don't know if a UEFA referee will come in and speak to them on Champions League or Europa League games or something, because the rules seem to be a little bit different, or in terms of the high standard of handball in Europe is totally different. And yeah, it's hard to go, but I thought it was a penalty as well. And I don't know if we're going to talk about it as well, but the Gabriel situation with Voltamar as well, just shoving him in the face.
Yeah, what did you think about that? Because apparently that's not violent conduct. Is that a little bit too much for you? Is that just part of the game? Would you give someone a little dig like that if they'd wound you up?
I think it's a red card. I think it's off the ball. There's no intent from Gabriel to even. I understand there's a lot of blocking, and Raya goes to kick the ball, but there's intent to actually force his arm towards his face. So there's a level and a line that you can go across. Of course, there's blocking. You see it all the time when the ball gets rolled back and people block. But to actually put your hand up into his face, I think there's definitely a violent conduct situation there.
Quick word on Newcastle United. 6 points from their opening 6 games, only 4 goals scored. Is there a concern about how the season's going to pan out, or do you have to be a little bit patient with them, bearing in mind the new players that they've brought in?
No, I think you've got to be a bit patient, not just the new players brought in, but obviously their summer preparation was dominated by the Alexander Isak saga. I still maintain that the owners should have made the decision to sell him a lot earlier than they did, and it would have been maybe a smoother summer for Newcastle to navigate. Obviously, they've got players to come back from injury. Jacob Ramsey and Johan Wisser, 2 of their summer signings. I still think defensively that they're very strong. I really like the look of Malik Chow in that game yesterday. So I think they'll be fine. But obviously there is a difficult balancing act with Champions League football and what they want to do in the Premier League as well. Do I think they'll finish in the top 4 or 5? No, I don't, to be honest.
You don't look particularly relaxed today. You look a little bit sort of grumpy. And
I think he's desperate to get on that train, isn't he?
Yeah, are you okay?
I'm good.
Because last night when you were sitting in here and we were watching the games, I gave you a little whiskey and you were much.
Well, maybe I just need a little whiskey.
Yeah, is it that, or is it because Mrs. Crook is an Arsenal fan and Arsenal won and you're upset that she's going to keep?
She didn't even watch the game. She was at kids' birthday party. What kind of support is that?
Yeah. Okay. We'll get on to Manchester United in just a second. And Crook wishes he didn't watch that one.